Hello again, and it's time for another project. Today we're going to do some scroll saw work on this little puppy dog. Now unfortunately I haven't printed off the actual image. You're going to have to wait for that. But the idea is we will cut out the full backer. That will be the size of the piece. So it fits on an A4 size piece of paper. We'll literally just stick that on there. Cut that out on 5.5mm plywood, so a slightly thicker backer, and the other sections, the face, that body piece will fit on there once it's all done, and then all these legs will fit into place, and that goes on there, then that will fit on there, then the mouth on there, the tongue on there, the nose in there, and the eyes, and so on. We're going to cut them on 3.6mm plywood. I do have plenty of 5.5, but I think it's going to be on 3 levels this, so you'll have a backer, then the face, and then the nose and stuff, so it's going to be quite thick enough as it is. So, and the idea is I'm going to try and cut these out. Normally you'll just glue that down as one piece, putting your painter's tape first on a decent sized bit of plywood, shall we say. So you'd cover that, spray your glue on, and basically stick that down as it is, like so, and then start cutting these out. Well, for me that's a lot of wastage in between. So I'm just going to try and use some scrap pieces up and cut these out and just squeeze them all onto this. So we'll still line it with the blue paper, spray it, stick it all down, then when we come back we'll be ready to cut it out. The other option was, like I always do with a lot of my projects, we could have put carbon paper underneath and squeeze that up into the corner, drawn around that with a pen, and then just move that as close as we can and draw around that. That would certainly be another option, so we can squeeze it all onto that bit of paper. But for now I'll ask them to cut these out, stick them all down, and then when we come back we'll talk about the blade. Right, so we've got our painter's tape. We've lined the 5.5 and the 3.6mm plywood, and then we sprayed on a bit of glue there, and we've stuck our pieces down. That's the first time I've actually cut them out like this, but I was just trying to squash all these together so there wasn't wasting too much plywood in between. So we're all ready to go now, and we've also, remember, we've drilled our little pilot holes into the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inner sections. That will just allow us to get our blade in there when we set it up on the scroll saw, like so, and literally cut those inner sections out. And then we'll just cut out each piece as we do it, a bit of sanding down, and hopefully it'll all fit together when we're done. Now my choice of blade is a spiral blade. You can see from that the T-spiral, the full length. And with any of your blades, to make sure they're in the right way, they want to feel smooth on the way down and rough on the way up. You also get pin blades. This will work fine on this one. I've just measured. Remember those pins, sometimes they can get in the way, but if you had a big enough hole you might just say fit those into those gaps there. So you could use pins. The more professional guys, the really expert ones, they use what they call a pin blade. There's obviously nothing on there at all, and they will fit in there no problem. The only difference between a spiral and the other two blades, a spiral will cut in any direction, so you could basically just put your spiral blade into there and just cut that basically by doing that. Whereas with the other two blades you would have to have that in there like so, and then turn your wood a full circle to get a circle to cut out. When you cut these out you would come down there, and then you'd have to turn it to come down there, and then turn it and turn it and twisting. A lot of twisting and turning just doesn't work for me. I maybe should practice a little bit more with those straight blades. But for now, Pegas number 5 spiral. Unfortunately my old draper saw only takes pin blades and spirals are pinless, so I have to use these adapter clamps at both ends, and that literally just hooks onto my saw in there, and the same at the bottom. It's a little bit of a pain sometimes, but you get used to them after a while. You can soon swap and change with a little Allen key. Unscrew that, slide that off into the hole, put that on, tighten it up, hook it up. So it's a bit of a performance, but you make use of what you've got. So we'll go cut the backer out first. Remember, on the 5mm, cut out our back section, put that to one side, and then basically just start cutting all these out and hopefully they'll all fit on one at a time. Let's set up the scroll saw with our spiral blade and start cutting this one out. Right, for this one we've got no pilot hole to go into, so we've set the blade up. We've got a nice little ping ping sound. You take the tension up at the back there until you get it right, and you can hear the sound of that as we loosen it off or tighten it up, and after a while you'll get used to the sound. So right, we literally can cut this one out, and then we'll move on swiftly to all those little bits. Like I say, a little bit of sanding down in between, and then we'll see what it's like before we start painting it. Right, there's our backer, nicely cut out, as you can see from that. These are just nice little fun projects. That's on 5.5mm, so we've got the back section all nicely cut out. So ideally now we need to cut out all the other sections on our little setup there. And as we cut them out, a nice little bit of sanding on the back. The only thing you will find with these spiral blades, you get those little fuzzies, but they don't take no seconds to remove. So we'll cut each one out, sand the back. I like to put a little marker pencil on the back once I've done it, just so I know which way it actually goes when we come to peel all the paper off. And obviously we will peel this one off and it will come off no problem. This is just a case of that. Remember, we put the blue paint down, tape down first, so when we come to peel it off, we can just peel it off like so, and it comes off nice and easy. And we will go around with sandpaper and just round this off slightly. But for now, we'll leave that paper on. We'll set this back up on the scroll saw. We're going to do our inner cuts first. Just these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we can focus on cutting the rest out and put it all together, hopefully, like a nice little puzzle. Right, you might just see there that I'm actually not just quite up to the line. So the good thing with these spiral blades, and I assume you can do it with straight blades, you can come back in again and just nibble at that and take that up right up to the line like so. If you just see there, look, that's just not quite right. So we'll try to take that up first. That is basically just to show you, he says. But anyway, you'll see what I mean. We can nibble at that with that blade and get it up somewhere near. Or obviously, a bit of sandpaper. When we've done it, you can make a little tube out of that, put that into that hole and definitely tidy it up that way. But for now, we'll just nibble that a little bit more and then move on to the next one. Right, there's all our bits, all nicely cut out. We've not had any issues. I think there was a letter S here with the plywood. There's a little void down it. You might just be able to see it there, look. That's just the nature of the plywood. Nothing to do with the cutting or how we've cut it out. So I had a little bit of filler in there just to fill that in. And then we sand it down afterwards. So that was the only fault we had, just that little void. We are going to paint all these, so that's not going to affect us. And everything else cut out nicely. Now the next stage for me is we're going to peel off the paper. What I like to do is just mark the back with a bit of pencil, any old scribble. Just it makes it easy when you come to put it together that we're not going to put this wrong way round. So once we take the paper off, so we just grab ourselves the end here, hopefully. Remember, we put our painter's tape on. It would go that way, wouldn't it? So when we pull this off, that will all come off nicely, taking the pattern with it. So we would obviously do this on every piece till it's all nicely cleared up. And what I've been doing as I've been taking away is just got a bit of sandpaper and gone around and just took those little fuzzies off the end. I will give it a slight sanding over on the top section as well, because I do just like to round off those corners a little bit. And anything that's not perfect, we can just shape it with our sandpaper. Why is the tape always going to cross that way when you don't want it to? But it comes off easy enough, as you can see from that. So I'm simply just going to peel all this off, and then we'll give you a little glimpse of it all together before we decide on painting and staining, or whichever way we feel we're going to finish it all off. Right, so it's our last bit to pull off, and then I'll just quickly put it all together for you, just so you can see roughly what the project should look like. If I can remember how it goes together. I didn't actually realise, but this is actually on 6 levels. It didn't look like 6 levels when I first looked at the pattern. So anyway, here we go. Let's have a quick glimpse of what we got. So off we got our backer first. Remember, that's 5.5mm. That's all nicely sanded and ready to go. And then I'm going to... we'll pop that one on there. That is the next one to go. And then that one goes on top of there, like so. Let's just bring this down just a little bit. Then you'll have a mouth which goes on there. This will all be glued down. So we're up 1, 2, 3. We're up 4 levels already. Then there's a little mouth to go on there. That's his little nose. That sits on there like so. What else have we got? There's a little tongue somewhere. I think that's his tongue. Is that a tongue? That looks like a tongue, doesn't it? So that will go on there like so. That's a little back leg. That will go on there. That's definitely a front leg. That will go on there. You can see from that it's taking shape nicely. I'm sure that's a little paw. That will go on there like so. And one of these will go on either one of those. I think it's that one there maybe. That will go on there. That one pops on there. We've got some nice lettering going on there like so. So that will all get glued down there, nice and coloured. And obviously that's his little tuffy ear there, bit of tuff on his ear. We want a couple of eyes. As soon as them eyes go in, I think that just brings that little character to life. So he'll have his eyes on there like so. And his little eyebrows like there. So if I just bring this up to you without dropping everything, that will basically be our pattern once it's all painted and glued together. And you can see from there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 levels, and that's all gone so far so good. Right, we'll look at the paint and staining side of things. Just before that though, I do literally just want to go around and just just sand these edges off just so they're not as sharp as. It's not a full-on shaping piece, but it just takes that little bit more effort, and I think it just personally myself, it just gives it a better finish. So I won't bore you with that because I'm sure sanding is not our favourite part. So when we come back, this will all be nicely sanded down, and we'll get onto our paints or stains. Right, that's all nicely sanded down, and we've literally just rounded off those edges. Just be careful with your plywoods. Remember, they are made of different layers. There's only 1, 2, 3 on this one, but as you're sanding down, if you get near enough, you'll just see the different colours here as you're sanding. That's okay for us as we're going to stain and paint, but if you were just going to put oils on this, be aware that too much sanding, to show you another sample there, you will get that yellow tingy coming through there. Okay, right, colour wise, I've gone back and forward a few times. I still like to incorporate the stain there, so we've got a light teak. We might use this for the area around the mouth, the jawline and the eyes, and I want to go with the dark teak. That'd be for the actual dog himself, and we're going to throw a bit of linseed oil on this one and a little bit of paint maybe, just to do the lettering and the back section. So we'll go inside where it's a little bit warmer, and then when we come back, we'll spray a bit of varnish on this and then glue it all together, and this little project will be finished. Right, a little change of plan along the way. Originally we're going to use quite a bit of paint on this. I wanted the white paws, they're over here somewhere. These are all going to be white. I was going to have yellow lettering on a green background and nice black nose and the blue in the eyes and stuff, but we decided just to stay away from the paints. The only bit of paint we have used is just a bit of watered down acrylic paint on the actual tongue. So that will be the only bit of colour in the project. The rest will be stain and linseed oil. So the linseed oil is the lighter section, as we can see there. That goes on nice, and obviously when that's dried, we'll spray varnish over the complete section as it is, and then we'll start gluing it together. And the darker sections we can see over here, that is obviously our dark teak that I literally purchased about an hour ago, and the lighter sections on this one over here, on these bits here, that is your light teak. So when it all goes together, hopefully it's just enough to say that we've used wood dyes instead of too much paint. But I do prefer a lot of paint on my projects, you guys know, so it's always nice to try something different. Right, we'll let this dry now, and we'll come back tomorrow and we'll spray it with nice varnish and just basically just glue it all together. Right, everything is nice and dry. So that was the linseed one. Remember, I do use linseed a lot on my projects, but we've not used it for a while, so nice to see good old boiled linseed oil back in the game again. And we've got the dark stain and the light stain, not forgetting our little acrylic paint there, look, that just soaked in nicely, dried up, and we've got no problems with that one. So now the next day, before we glue it all together, now obviously you can glue it all together as it is with, I'm using 151 super glue today, and sometimes I've been known to mix in a bit of wood glue at the same time on bigger projects. These are all quite small, so we don't think we need it today. And then spray your varnish on afterwards, or you could leave it as it is. I do prefer to have a nice gloss spray on all my projects, so it's a gloss varnish today, and I think there might be a little bit there. Don't be afraid to mix them up, it doesn't matter really to me. So we're going to spray all these, for me personally, first. I just spray them all first and then glue it afterwards. The only thing being, if you imagine that was already glued on there, to get your spray inside there, inside the mouth, could be a bit awkward with these in the way. And obviously on your smaller bits, if you want to try and spray inside the eye there. So for me personally, I'll just spray it all first and then we glue it afterwards. So nothing fantastic there to see. We're literally just going to spray this on, and hopefully it will darken it all down again. We'll go outside in a minute, but for now we'll just go steady. There's not too much dust blowing around in here. But you can just see how that will darken that down. And remember, we want to get all the side sections as well. Okay, 2 or 3 coats of this, and then we're literally going to come in with the glues and glue it all together. Right, so we've stuck everything down with that 151 super glue. We've just got our last piece to go on, and that's just a simple case of dab dab dab. I didn't use any of the wood glue on this one. Normally I'll do a mixture of both and probably throw some of that on, but it's gone fine. It's going out a little bit too fast, but that's not going to affect us. So a couple of little dabs like that all the way around, and this will be our last piece going on. And that's all you need. That's plenty there. You don't want to get too carried away, as long as you've got a bit on them end pieces. So the last piece to fit in, we'll get that lined up nicely, like so. That looks about right to me. And literally just press that down, like so. And that should be all nicely stuck down. Right, we'll leave that for a bit, and then go back down to the shed, and this little project will be finished. Right, that's it. This little project is finished. So we glued it all down with that 151 super glue, and everything's gone fine there, nice and solid. I will incorporate a little hanger there for hanging purposes, or you can sit that inside another frame if need be. And there he is. We've got a nice shine there. I did notice a bit of dullness there, look. I think we had a bit of glue on there at one time. Well, I'll simply just spray a bit of varnish on there off camera just to finish it all off. And that's it. My dog loves me. Puppy love. Now it measures in at 10 inches by 6 inches across. The main top section is cut out on 3.6mm plywood, and we use a 5.5mm for the backer. And for cutting out, for me personally, Pegas spiral blade. They're definitely not for everybody, and you'll either love or hate those. And then we came in with the dark stain for the main dog, bit of light teak stain there for the rest, and good old boiled linseed made an appearance. And for that lovely shine, just Paint Factory gloss varnish today. And then we glued it all down with our little 151 super glue. Gorilla glue, any glue will do really, as long as it does the job. That's the main thing. And that's it, all done. By the way, this is a Steve Good pattern. If you go onto Steve Good catalogue online, you'll find all his patterns on there. And that's it's been a nice little fun project, is that one. Thank you very much for watching.